My wife cheated with her boss and secretly transferred $200, $0 from our joint account into his offshore company, then used our family home worth $850, $0 as collateral for his illegal debt. Now she's suing me for half the property because she claims I knew about everything the whole time. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here telling a story about how my wife, Lisa, basically stole our life from under my nose. Honestly, I thought we had a pretty normal marriage. Sure, we had our disagreements, but who does? The thing is, the biggest shock came when I stumbled upon her secret life and the mess she left behind. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, only I couldn't look away. It all started about 3 months ago. Lisa had been acting weird, forgetting things, avoiding my eyes, and suddenly she was working late more often. At first, I thought she was just stressed from her job. She's a high-powered marketing executive, always busy, always on her phone. But then I noticed her phone changed. She started deleting messages, hiding her screen when I entered the room, and there were times I caught her whispering on the phone late at night, her voice low. One night I decided to check her phone when she went to the kitchen. I know, it's not the best move, but I was desperate. I found texts between her and her boss, Mark, that made the hair on my neck stand up. They were flirting heavily, talking about meetings, secret plans, and even explicit stuff. I saw her using code words to hide what they were really doing. That was the first concrete sign she was cheating on me. But what really knocked me sideways was the financial stuff. I've always been the one handling our money, our joint account, savings, investments. I trust Lisa, but I also keep my eyes open. When I looked into our bank statements, I noticed a large transfer 200 disappeared from our account and ended up in some offshore company she'd never mentioned. I went ballistic. I called the bank, but they couldn't tell me much without her permission. I felt sick. That kind of money gone like that for something she clearly didn't want me to find out. And then there was the house. We own a pretty expensive place, worth about $850, $0. I always thought it was our sanctuary, a place where we built our future. But then I discovered she'd used it as collateral for some illegal debt Mark was involved in. She secretly transferred the house's title or some lien. I don't even know all the details yet, but she'd done it without telling me. The house was now tied up in some shady dealings, and I found out she'd been lying about her whereabouts during those nights she claimed she was working late. She was meeting Mark, not at some office, but at some hotel or some secret place. When I confronted her, Lisa's reaction was classic. She called me paranoid, accused me of snooping, and then told me I was just insecure. She spun this story that she was doing all of it for us, that Mark was a business mentor, and that the money transfer was for some investment she was planning. She said she was trying to secure our future and that I should trust her. But I could see the flicker of guilt behind her eyes. She was lying, I knew it. Her tone was bitchy, dismissive, like I was supposed to just accept her word. Without question. The thing is, I wanted to believe her. I kept telling myself maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this is all some misunderstanding, but deep down I knew better. I felt a cold pit in my stomach, the kind that makes you question everything you thought was real. How could the woman I loved and trusted so much be capable of this? Cheating, lying, stealing from us, our life savings, our home, while I was working my ass off to provide for us. It felt like I'd been punched in the gut, and I didn't even get a chance to catch my breath before the fallout started. I spent days trying to process it all. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with Mark, heard her lying, saw the bank statements, the house deeds, the offshore account. I was furious but also hurt. Betrayal cuts deep, especially when it comes from someone you thought was your partner for life. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could lie so easily, and how I missed all the signs. And yet I also knew I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with it, not just for me but for what we had built. I started looking into ways I could fight back, legal options, ways to reclaim what's ours, and how to get her to face the consequences of her actions. I wasn't just angry, I was determined. This wasn't just about infidelity anymore. It was about betrayal on a level I never expected, and I knew I'd need to be smart if I wanted to come out of this with some semblance of justice. And that's where I am now, standing at the edge of what feels like a very long, very dark road. I don't know what's coming next, but I do know one thing: I'm not going down without a fight. After discovering everything, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach repeatedly. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair, it was the money, the house, the lies. Lisa's lies. The more I dug, the more I realized how deep she'd gone. She'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. The offshore account, the collateral on our house. The illegal debt Mark was involved in, all of it tied together like some sick puzzle I was only beginning to see. I remember sitting in the living room, staring at the bank statements, the offshore transfer details, trying to understand how she managed to pull this off without me catching on earlier. I felt a mix of anger, confusion, and helplessness. How could she do this? How could she betray me so completely? I kept replaying our last few months, searching for signs I'd missed. And honestly, there were plenty. She'd been more distant, secretive, snapping at me over the smallest things. I just thought she was stressed, busy with work. Turns out she was busy with her secret life. The worst part was realizing I'd been completely blind to it. She lied about where she was working late, said she was at some client meeting or a conference. Meanwhile, she was with Mark, probably fucking him and scheming how to drain our savings. I found text messages where she called him baby, my love, and even joked about how she'd get rid of me once she'd taken everything. I couldn't believe I'd been so stupid. When I finally confronted her face to face, I expected tears, maybe some remorse. Instead, she got bitchy. She rolled her eyes, said, I was just insecure and jealous, and accused me of being paranoid. She told me I didn't understand her, that she was doing this for us, that I was too narrow-minded to see her vision. I asked her how she could do all this and still look me in the eyes. That's when she started spinning stories about how Mark was just a mentor, how she was trying to secure our future, how I was just too controlling. I could see the contempt in her eyes, the way she dismissed my concerns as if I was the crazy one. But I wasn't buying it. I knew her too well. Her lies, her manipulations, they were so obvious now. I felt a deep, boiling rage. How dare she treat me like I was stupid? How dare she use our home, our life savings, as some kind of pawn in her sick game? The house, our biggest asset, was no longer safe. It was collateral for some illegal debt Mark had gotten her involved in, all behind my back. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the money, the house, her betrayal. I felt sick to my stomach. I'd always been the one supporting us, working hard, trying to give us a good life. And she was out there, secretly transferring money, lying, cheating, and now she was even suing me for half the house, claiming I knew everything and did nothing. That was the final straw. I felt like I'd been punched again, this time with legal punches. I started to realize that I needed to act fast. I couldn't let her take everything without a fight. I reached out to a lawyer I found through a friend, someone who specialized in financial fraud and divorce cases. I wanted to know my rights, what I could do to protect myself and our assets. I also started gathering evidence, screenshots of the messages, bank statements, copies of the transfer documents, everything. I knew she was lying, and I wanted to be ready when I confronted her again. The next few days were a blur. I spent hours on the phone with lawyers, digging into our bank and property records, trying to find any legal loopholes or ways to freeze her assets. I also hired a private investigator to look into Mark's offshore company and the illegal debt she'd used our house as collateral for. I needed concrete proof that she'd been involved in criminal activity, not just marital betrayal. Meanwhile, Lisa kept up her act, acting like she was the innocent wife wronged by my suspicion. She threw tantrums, accused me of spying, and called me insecure. She even tried to turn the tables, saying I was jealous of Mark, that I was paranoid, that I was ruining everything because I didn't trust her. But I saw through her lies now. I knew what she was capable of. Honestly, I felt like I was living in some twisted nightmare. The woman I loved and trusted had been secretly destroying us for months. The betrayal cut so deep I didn't know if I'd ever recover. Part of me wanted to just walk away, forget everything, and start over somewhere far away. But I knew I couldn't let her get away with it. Not without a fight. I owed it to myself, to our life together, to find a way to take control again. So I prepared myself for what was coming. I knew she'd try to deny everything, spin more lies, maybe even try to manipulate the legal system. But I had the evidence and I was determined to use it. This wasn't just about money or property anymore. It was about justice, about making her face what she'd done. I wasn't going to let her walk over me, not after everything, not after she'd shattered our life. I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but I do know one thing. I'm not giving up. I've got a plan now and I'm going to see it through, no matter how ugly it gets. I just want to get my life back, piece by piece, and make her pay for what she's done. The days following the confrontation were a whirlwind, and I felt like I was caught in some kind of storm I couldn't control. I spent every waking moment trying to piece together what she'd done, how deep her lies went, and what leverage I had to fight back. I hired the best divorce lawyer I could find, someone who specialized in financial crimes and high-asset divorces. I needed someone sharp, someone who could help me untangle the mess she'd created. My lawyer told me I had a strong case, especially with the evidence I had collected, the bank statements showing the transfer of $200, $0 to her offshore account, the documents indicating our house was used as collateral for her illegal debt, and her secret communications with Mark. But she warned me that Lisa would fight dirty, probably try to spin it as a misunderstanding or claim I knew everything and did nothing. That's when I realized this wasn't just about divorce. It was about protecting what was legally ours and holding her accountable. I also started to dig into the offshore company where she transferred the money. I hired a private investigator to track down the offshore account details, get copies of the transactions, and find out what Mark was really up to. It turned out Mark was deeply involved in some illegal financial schemes, money laundering, embezzlement, who knows what else. Lisa had been helping him, apparently, using our assets as collateral for his debts. The more I learned, the angrier I got. This was bigger than just her cheating. It was criminal. Meanwhile, Lisa kept up her act. She was still insisting she did everything for us, that I was just insecure and jealous. She'd call me paranoid, accuse me of spying on her, and say I was ruining her reputation. But I didn't buy it anymore. I could see the contempt in her eyes, the way she dismissed everything I said. She even started to threaten me, saying she'd fight for custody of the kids and half the house, claiming I was trying to control her and that I knew about her affair all along. That last part was a lie, but she was good at twisting facts. One night she came home furious, screaming about how I was ruining everything, how she deserved her fair share, and how I was just a jealous husband who couldn't handle her success. She told me I was holding her back, that she was tired of hiding her life. That's when I snapped. I told her I knew about the offshore account, the illegal debt, and her lies. Her face paled for a second, then she started crying, claiming she'd been doing all this for us, that I didn't understand her sacrifices. But I wasn't buying her crocodile tears anymore. I saw through her lies. I decided I needed to get a court order to freeze her assets, our house, the offshore account, everything she was trying to hide. My lawyer filed the paperwork, and within days, we had a judge's order blocking her from transferring or selling anything. That was a huge win because now she couldn't just run off with the money or try to claim the house was hers. It also gave me some breathing room to prepare for the legal battle ahead. But even with the legal steps in motion, I knew Lisa wouldn't go down quietly. She started to threaten me openly, saying she'd take me to court for abuse if I didn't back off. She claimed I was trying to ruin her reputation and destroy her career. She even accused me of being controlling, jealous, and unfaithful, ironic, considering her own affairs. I felt like I was in some twisted game where she was throwing accusations, and I was just trying to hold onto what was left of our life. I also reached out to some financial experts to help me understand the full scope of her scheme. Turns out she'd been siphoning money for months, funneling it into different accounts, trying to hide her tracks. The offshore account was just the tip of the iceberg. She'd set up shell companies, fake invoices, and shady transactions to cover her tracks. I realized she'd been planning this for a long time, probably since she met Mark. It was like she'd been building her escape plan while pretending everything was fine. The emotional toll was heavy. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. I kept questioning myself. How did I miss all the signs? Was I blind? Did I really know her at all? I spent nights lying awake, replaying everything, trying to find some way to fix this, some way to undo what she'd done. But deep down, I knew that wasn't possible. The damage was done, and now I had to figure out how to fix myself. I realized I couldn't do this alone. I reached out to friends, some of whom I hadn't spoken to in years, just to vent and get some perspective. They told me I was stronger than I thought, that I deserved better, and that I needed to make sure I protected myself and my kids first. That was the hardest part, thinking about the kids. Lisa kept throwing around custody threats, trying to manipulate the situation. I knew I had to stay calm, stick to the facts, and let the legal system work. So here I am, still fighting, still trying to gather evidence, stay one step ahead of her manipulations, and make sense of the chaos she created. I'm angry, I'm hurt, but I'm also determined. I want her to pay for what she's done, not just legally but morally. She betrayed me, our family, everything we built. And I won't rest until I get some kind of justice, even if it means losing parts of the life I thought was mine. I have to keep going somehow, because I owe it to myself, and to the life I want to rebuild. The legal fight has taken over my life these past few weeks. Every morning starts with a mountain of paperwork, emails from my lawyer, and a constant barrage of new revelations. Lisa's lies are unraveling faster than she can spin them. I've learned she's been funneling money through multiple offshore accounts, creating a web of shell companies to hide her tracks. The offshore transfer of $200, $0 was just the beginning. She's been draining our savings for months, maybe even years, and I only just caught on. The most shocking part is that she used our family home, the house we poured our sweat and tears into, as collateral for some illegal debt Mark was involved in. I found out she secretly transferred the deed, or at least some lien, without my knowledge or consent. She's been lying about her whereabouts during those nights. She said she was working late. She was with Mark, planning her escape, probably sleeping with him too. Every new detail feels like a punch to the gut. I keep asking myself how I missed all of this. How did I not see the signs? How could I have been so blind? My lawyer managed to get a court order freezing all her assets, including the house and the offshore accounts. That was a huge win, but Lisa isn't backing down. She's been throwing tantrums, claiming I'm trying to ruin her reputation, that I knew everything and just pretended not to see. She's playing the victim, trying to turn the tables on me, insisting she's the wronged wife. She's been filing motions, demanding access to the house, claiming I'm the one who's been controlling her, jealous and paranoid. It's classic gaslighting, but I see right through it now. Meanwhile, I've been gathering more evidence, screenshots of her messages with Mark, bank statements showing the transfers, documents from the offshore company. I want this all on record. I want proof that she's been involved in criminal activity, not just marital betrayal. I hired a private investigator to dig into Mark's offshore dealings, and what I found makes my stomach churn. Mark's involved in money laundering, embezzlement, and a bunch of shady financial schemes. Lisa's been helping him, using our assets as collateral for his illegal debts. It's like she's been actively complicit in a crime ring, all while pretending to be the perfect wife. Her accusations are relentless. She's telling anyone who will listen that I'm some jealous, controlling husband who just couldn't handle her success. She claims I knew about her affair and the money transfer all along, which is a blatant lie. I never knew about the offshore accounts or the illegal debt until I found the evidence. I've stayed quiet publicly, but inside I'm boiling. I want her to pay for every lie, every betrayal, every dollar stolen from us. I want her to understand that she can't just manipulate her way out of this. The emotional toll is enormous. I feel betrayed, humiliated, and furious. Every time I think I've gotten a handle on things, she throws another curveball, more accusations, more threats. She's even threatened to take the kids away if I push too hard. But I've been advised to stay calm, to let the courts handle her. That's what I'm doing now. I've filed for a full financial settlement, and I'm pushing for her to be held accountable for the illegal activities she's been involved in. I also hired a forensic accountant to trace every penny she's siphoned off. The total amount is staggering, well over what I initially thought. It's clear she's been planning this for a long time, building her escape route piece by piece. I keep replaying everything, wondering how I missed all the signs, how I was so blind to her lies. But I've come to accept that I can't change the past. All I can do now is fight to protect what's left of my future. The hardest part is staying strong for the kids. Lisa's been manipulating them, trying to turn them against me with her false stories. I've hired a counselor to help them process everything, and I keep reminding myself that I need to be the stable one even if I'm falling apart inside. I don't want to let her see how much she's hurt me. I have to stay composed for their sake. As I sit here writing this, I realize I've learned a lot about trust, about the importance of vigilance, and about the fact that some people will do anything to get what they want. Lisa's betrayal has shattered my world, but it's also made me stronger in some ways. I'm more determined than ever to see this through, to hold her accountable, and to rebuild my life from the wreckage she left behind. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I won't stop fighting until I get justice. The legal process has been every hearing, every court filing feels like another battle in a war I didn't sign up for. Lisa's lawyers are trying every trick in the book, filing motions to dismiss, claiming I'm an unfit father, accusing me of financial misconduct without evidence. She's playing the victim, crying in court about how I'm trying to ruin her reputation, how I'm controlling her, how she's the real victim here. It's infuriating. She's spinning her web of lies. And I'm just trying to stay grounded, keep my head clear, and focus on what's real. Meanwhile, I've been working with forensic accountants and private investigators nonstop. The numbers are staggering. She's transferred hundreds of thousands of dollars into offshore accounts, hidden assets, and created fake invoices. The house, our family home, has been used as collateral for Mark's illegal debt, and she's been lying about her involvement. The evidence is piling up, and I can see her panic growing. She's trying to fight dirty, but she's running out of options. One day, I received a notice from the court that they're scheduling a full hearing on the asset division, and I know this is the moment to lay everything out. I've prepared a detailed dossier, proof of the offshore transfers, the illegal debt, her communications with Mark, the fake invoices, everything. I want the judge to see the extent of her betrayal, not just as a wife, but as someone who's actively involved in criminal activity. This isn't just a divorce anymore. It's a fight for justice. In the meantime, Lisa's been trying to manipulate the kids, telling them I'm the bad guy, that I'm trying to take everything away from her. It's heartbreaking. I've hired a counselor for them, and I remind myself daily that I need to stay calm, be patient, and not let her poison them. I keep showing them love, doing my best to be the stable parent in this chaos. But it's hard. Every time I feel a spike of rage and sadness. I wonder if they see through her lies, if they realize how much she's trying to manipulate the situation. The most recent development is that the judge has ordered a forensic audit of all her accounts and assets. That's a huge step. It means she can't just hide money anymore. I also learned she's been trying to transfer the house's title out of our joint name, probably to some fake entity she set up just in case she gets caught. I've instructed my lawyer to block any such transfer, and the court has agreed to freeze the property until the case is resolved. I've been reflecting a lot on everything. I feel betrayed, angry, and exhausted, but I also recognize that I've learned something about resilience. I've learned that some people are capable of doing terrible things, but that doesn't mean I have to be their victim. I've come to realize that I need to focus on what I can control, my actions, my emotions, and protecting my children. I've also learned that justice takes time, patience, and persistence. I've been leaning heavily on friends and family for support. Some of them have been shocked, others angry on my behalf. A few have told me I should just walk away, that she's beyond saving, but I know I can't give up. Not now. I need to see this through, to make sure she faces the consequences of her actions and that I get what's rightfully mine. I want her to understand that betrayal has a cost, and I won't be the one paying it forever. Despite everything, I still love my kids and want what's best for them. I stay strong every day for their sake and mine. I keep reminding myself that I'm fighting for justice, for truth, and for the chance to rebuild my life. I don't know how much longer this legal battle will last, but I do know I won't stop until I've done everything in my power to hold her accountable. I refuse to let her destroy what little family we had without consequences. I guess what I've learned most of all is that betrayal cuts deep, but it also reveals who you really are. I've discovered a strength I didn't know I had, and I plan to use it to come out of this stronger. I want to rebuild not just my finances, but my sense of trust and self-worth. And I want anyone reading this to know, if you're ever in a similar situation, don't give up. Fight for what's right, no matter how dark things seem. Because in the end, truth and justice will prevail. The final stretch has been brutal, but I feel like I'm finally seeing some daylight after months of chaos. The court hearings, the evidence, the legal battles, everything has culminated in a hearing where I laid out everything I found. I watched Lisa squirm under the weight of the proof. Her offshore accounts, the fake invoices, the illegal debt, and her involvement with Mark. The judge listened carefully, and I could see the wheels turning as the reality of her betrayal sank in. It was a long, exhausting process, but I knew that this was the moment where truth would stand tall. In the end, the court ordered her to pay back all the stolen money, to relinquish any claim to the house, and to face criminal charges for the illegal debt and financial fraud. It was more than I ever hoped for. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Relief that justice was finally being served, but sadness for what I'd lost and for the damage she'd done to our family. The judge also awarded full custody of the kids to me, recognizing that Lisa's actions and manipulations were detrimental to their well-being. That was a huge victory, and it reinforced my resolve to rebuild their trust and show them that even in the darkest times, there's a way forward. Lisa's reaction was bitter. She tried to appeal, to argue her case, but by then, the evidence was overwhelming. Her lies had been exposed, and the court saw her for what she truly was, a manipulative, criminally involved woman who'd betrayed everything we built together. She was ordered to pay significant restitution, and the house was awarded back to me. The offshore accounts were frozen, and she's now facing criminal investigation. I don't think she ever really believed she'd get caught, but she did, and I'm glad the truth finally came out. Looking back, I realize I've grown in ways I never expected. This whole ordeal has forced me to confront my own strength, to stand up for myself and my children, and to rebuild from the ashes. I've learned that trust is fragile and that betrayal can come from those closest to us, but that resilience and perseverance can help you survive even the worst storms. I've also learned that sometimes you have to fight dirty, play hardball, and use every resource available to protect what's yours. Most importantly, I've come to see that justice isn't just about winning in court. It's about reclaiming your dignity, your peace, and your future. I'm now focused on healing, on restoring my relationship with my kids, and on moving forward. I've started therapy to deal with the emotional scars, and I'm slowly rebuilding my life, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. It's not easy, and I still have moments when I feel angry or broken, but I remind myself that I've already survived the worst. I've faced betrayal, deception, and heartbreak, and I've come out the other side. To anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation, I want to say, never give up. Trust your instincts, gather evidence, and don't be afraid to fight for what's right. Sometimes justice takes time and the road is tough, but in the end, truth has a way of prevailing. You are stronger than you think, and you deserve a life built on honesty, respect, and integrity. No matter how dark things seem, there's always a way to rebuild and reclaim what's yours. Keep fighting. Stay true to yourself. And remember, your worth isn't defined by someone else's betrayal. It's found in your resilience, your courage, and your ability to move forward no matter what.